nephew, Brian Brennan, recently retired from the U.S. Coast Guard, 20 years. And here he is now in his backyard with his fantastic GTO. And why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and then how you came upon this gem?
Well, I've always been into cars ever since I was 15, 16 years old. Particularly this body style. This is a 68 to early 70s style. This is a 1969 Pontiac GTO. These were performance cars for their days. And I've always been in love with this body style. They're not the easiest to find in good condition. I've always been into older cars, especially the muscle cars from this era. Anything from like 1968 up into the mid 70s. This is an A-body. This specifically is a 1969 Pontiac GTO.
Now, I've also heard that the GTO has like a Le Mans. Like, tell me that story. Like, this is a real GTO from the get-go.
This is a real GTO. It's what they call a 242 car because the VIN number is specific to a GTO. When GTO first came onto the streets in 1964, it was actually a Pontiac Le Mans, from my understanding, and the GTO was just a package that they would put on that Pontiac.
All right.
It became so popular that car, the GTO became its own line of car. So this is a real Pontiac.
And what year was GTO. This again?
This is 1969. If you notice, the front end of this car actually has a 1968 bumper on it, but parts here and there hard to find.
Very
and
scarce.
This is what it came, but this is a 69, and specifically how you can tell a 69 from 68 is a 68 would have that old school vent window right here.
Ear window, or whatever you call it.
Yep. And then in 69 they went to a solid piece of glass, so this is a 69, even though the front end is
and it is fabulous. How long have you owned it?
I bought this car in 2014. Body work was done on it, but the mechanicals weren't there. Good. I bought it. It took me probably 3 years to get it actually running and driving, and then it went to storage, and then it sat in storage for. Because you were in the
Coast Guard, you were traveling.
Correct. I was not even in the same.
You just retired, like literally a month ago.
Yep. I wasn't even in the same state as the car. So one of the few things that are unique to a Pontiac GTO over a Le Mans are they come standard with the bucket seats and a center console, so it's more of a sporty type interior. Excuse the wires.
It's in good shape.
Yes, a lot of the interior parts are remade. They're not original. They're aftermarket parts that I bought. As you can see, there's no hood on it. The car's kind of a project.
Well, it's in there, yeah.
It's still a project, but it is a running, driving project, and I definitely spend more time working on it.
Does it have a name?
We just call it the GOAT. It's a pretty common note. All people call their GTOs GOATs, and I just call it.
It's magnificent. It's beautiful. Now tell me about the engine. I'm sure it's a beefy engine.
Yeah, so in Pontiac in 1967, they went to a Pontiac 400 motor. They had smaller motors, but GTOs came standard. The smallest motor you could get was a 400 cubic inch.
Now, I don't know that much, but this looks clean to me. Is this a very nice, clean engine?
That is the result of a car that does not drive on the road.
Okay, it's still very nice. And how many miles does it have? Do you know?
I wouldn't even know. I don't even think that's the original dashboard.
Okay.
So interesting story, 68 front end. When I bought this car, it was a race car. There was no trunk, there was a race selling. This car spent time on the track, and when I bought it, the guy was in the process of making it back into a road car. So at mix match parts, it was sitting in the corner of a mechanic shop in pieces.
We still love you. And, love it.
Yeah, that's it.
Now, I do remember this is not your first project car. You had a yellow car.
I did. In high school, I had a 69 Chevelle was my first car.
Okay, and if anyone is interested, there is a fabulous YouTube video, documents pretty much the whole thing. Grab the tissues. It is a great story. It's a Chevelle, right?
It is. It is 69 Chevelle. Similar to this, it was my first car.
Yes.
I still own it. Great story.
That is chapter 2. Stay tuned for part 2. Wonderful. Now, what are the other fun features? Oh, you know what I want you to do? Start this baby up.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, as you can see, we have this is fuel injection, so that's a modern upgrade I put on the car. So we've all had those old cars you got to get in and you have to pump the gas to get it. This is fuel injection. I wanted to enjoy the car. So I should be able just to reach in here. You can hear the fuel pump kick on. And then
Brian, tell me a little bit about how you did restore this and what modifications you made or how you rebuilt it.
okay, so my plan with that, like everybody else, it's budget. So
Oh,
you work with what you
the
got.
constraints of a budget.
Yeah, so I bought the car, the body was pretty much complete, and the engine and transmission were in it. Nothing was hooked up, no fuel lines, no brakes, no
Really?
hoses, no anything.
Wow.
So that was where I could kind of make it my own. So I had a thought process. I said, okay, I like the old school stuff. I don't want to make a resto mod or anything. So I
Okay.
want it to look old. I want it to be original type, but I still want it dependable.
Yes.
So I did go with a fuel injection system on here. Like I said, it's easy to start. Tuning a carburetor is almost a lost art. I've tried. This has a handheld controller. I can see all of the input
Gauges
for the car.
and
Yep.
how to tune it up. Okay, perfect.
Yeah, I put an electric fan in there so that way, you know, it can click
Take
on and off.
advantage of the opportunity and the advantages that they've made. I mean, don't go so old school. You got to start it with a rock.
Exactly.
So good for you.
Yeah, air cleaner on top of that. The fans under there, no, we'll see.
Perfect.
Battery. One thing I learned when I was doing this build is when these cars were originally built, it didn't have all this electrical stuff. So once I added it, I had to add electrical upbringing, which you wouldn't think. So
Beef
I
it
had
up
to get
a little.
bigger alternator, bigger battery. The wiring that was in this car was not designed to handle all that, so a lot of that wiring had to be replaced.
Yes,
and
you don't want to compromise that. You have
correct.
to.
It's just like having a computer with low Wi-Fi signal. You know, it doesn't matter how good it is.
Yeah, it could be a rocket ship. Yeah.
so-
Oh, see, that's something I wouldn't have thought of.
Which is
Excellent.
actually why the hood is off right now, because as you can see, I've got a group of wires back here I'm still trying to tighten up, but those are a mixture of old and new wires that I have to troubleshoot. He had several Pontiacs when I bought it. He showed me all. He actually had a passion for the car.
Oh.
He showed me all the ones that he restored earlier. He was moving on to other projects, and this is just something he didn't want to mess with.
Ran on a track. That's fun.
That's what I said, yeah, and it was. I'm not a paint and body guy. I'm more of a mechanical guy, so this paint and body being done, the mechanics was perfect for me.
Yeah,
It was meant to be.
perfect.
And as I was loading it up, people were rolling up in this guy's driveway trying to buy it from him, so I was very.
Oh.
One
now,
guy.
how did you find it?
Craigslist,
Craigslist,
2014.
baby.
Everyone's cruising Craigslist, Jacksonville, Florida.
Excellent. Well, you lucked out. It is a gem. It's gorgeous. And it sounds incredible. You can feel it vibrating in your chest. It's like listening to a lion in the jungle. It's primal.
Yeah, it's actually
Brum, brum, brum.
it's actually deceiving. The entire inside of the car, the doors and the roof is all dynamatted with soundproofing and thermal. The idea is to eventually get air conditioning in it. So sometimes you kind of lose that sense when you're inside the car, and then when you get out or someone else starts it, it's like, whoa, that's crazy.
I like that.
Yeah, there's
yes.
probably 100 pounds worth of sound deadening in there.
You can't. You cannot duplicate that. Remember
I
that?
got it in 2014. It's 2023 now.
All right. Almost coming up on 10 years there. You got to have a little party for it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you got to give everyone a ride around the block.
We could do that.
I love it. Okay, perfect. Well, give me a big hug. I love you so much. Thank you for showing us.
Oh, yeah.
And talking a little bit about it. And I'm going to get you people the info on the yellow Chevelle, and that's another great story. And you're the perfect person to tell it.
Peace.
Thank you. Bye.
Okay, so when I was growing up, I remember my dad always telling me stories about his GTO, and actually told me I came home from the hospital one. So I think that's probably where I got my fascination with those kind of cars, and it's kind of cool looking back at seeing the old pictures of him with his car.